Cosmo! Hey everybody, Jay Vanderus here, and today I'm bringing you my first movie review featuring First Class. I'm doing my best to keep it spoiler-free. First off, go see the movie. It was a good film, and here's some of the reasons why. The first reason is good writing. Now, I realize this is somewhat subjective. Let me explain. Here's one example. As a thriller, First Class is funny. Someone once suggested I watch Get Him to the Greek, a film they said was funny. We watched the film together, and I found myself being bombarded by joke after joke after joke about how the situations of the film got progressively crazier. Unfortunately, as the jokes were all based around sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and the characters participating in the jokes all participated in sex, drugs, and rock and roll, the jokes quickly wore out their welcome and became the same joke, not the same First Class. Though the serious parts of the film definitely help to break up the humor, it doesn't simply rest in the physical space between jokes to give them diversity. There are crude jokes, intelligent jokes, nerdy jokes, things that might take you a few seconds to get, and things about certain characters that will most likely leave you smiling with good humor. I could give you examples, but now isn't the time for spoilers. That being said, as a thriller, First Class succeeds in other areas as well. For one thing, it doesn't shy away from making its characters be nasty when the situation calls for it. If you know anything about the X-Men, you know that Magneto eventually becomes someone on a blood hunt for all of humanity. The film does a good job explaining why, and though it gives you plenty of reasons to be sympathetic with Magneto, it never makes pains to depict his more murderous urges as anything less than frightening. If you want to identify with him, you'll do so entirely of your own choosing. On the flip side, while you might want to agree with the future Professor X's more beneficent approach to handling things, the film, and at one point the character, makes pains to show that his view of humanity is likely far too generous. I realize moral ambiguity may not be for everyone. It's something that I enjoy. The second thing is good casting, mostly. This is the one of the things that becomes most apparent on a viewing, so I won't have to say too much. What I will say is that while some characters may lack impact in their performance, the two leads are almost perfect in their roles, as X and Magneto in this film. Largely, I think the reason that actors so unlike Stewart and McKellen fit is because this film asks us to take such a different look at what was already established in the previous films. Shaking things up has also given room for these two to develop into actual characters, which is something that the leads managed to pull off with gusto. And then there's Kevin Bacon. He's the best kind of ham. The third is inventive action. I really can't say anything here without spoiling, so I'll just make the comment that after seeing this movie, it's almost impossible to imagine them making action sequences without lots of long nights just simply thinking of the coolest way to use all the mutants' powers, because that is exactly what this film shows. Just scene after scene of jaw-droppingly inventive camera work, pacing, and at times environmental effects, which all supplement what the stars of this movie are actually doing. In short, if you don't think magnets are cooler after seeing this movie, I'll be very surprised. While there are a few flaws in the film, these are for the most part related to the film's foregone conclusions and what we know of the divide of the mutants coming into it. While, being an X-Men film, the divide between X and Magneto was necessary, I'm not sure it needed to happen so soon or in the first film. But given that there was no guarantee there would be sufficient funds for a second film, in my eyes, this error is easily forgivable. I can't speak for your tastes, of course, but I can see how the ending to this movie would end up bothering some. Also, considering this movie is all about minority allegories, well, I won't say exactly what happens, but if you've watched enough horror movies, a convention of that genre is present here that I never would have expected. I'm not sure if it makes the film worse overall, but I will say it's something I don't think the film should be in here. But yeah, overall, go see this movie. Evander is out.